What? Holy Hello and welcome back to Beach Hour. Now this is going to be a very special episode because in this video what I'm going to do is try to tell you that if you have a Polo and you want to convert it to a 600 horsepower beast, there are some ways where you can achieve that. Well, not entire 600 horsepower as of now, but that is something that is eventually going to be possible. What we have over here with us today is a 450 horsepower, 580 Newton meters torque producing Polo 2-liter TSI, which has been built right over here between Mumbai and Surat by one of our favorite tuners. These guys, of course, who I'm talking about are Nictrans Motorsport, Nikunj Wagh, who's a genius. He's a brilliant engineer, a transmission specialist, and I would say overall someone who knows his Volkswagens inside out. And of course, along with him is N1 Performance, N1 Motorsports. These guys are in the motorsport and performance part industry in India for, I'd say, maybe over 15-20 years now, and they are the main dealers and suppliers for APR parts over here in India as well, and they do some fantastic work. They have made some brilliant cars before, and for those who don't know, these are also the guys who run the Indian National Racing Championship teams, and they make some crazy builds over there as well. So today what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a quick tour of this particular build. This car is fresh, this car is hot because this car has just come from this year's Valley Run, posting some biblically mental times over there. By biblically mental, what I mean to say is that this car did an 11.5 seconds to a quarter mile, which is mental when you consider this is a Polo. Well, at least a Polo from the outside, because on the inside it's got a ton of stuff, and that's what exactly I'm going to take you through now. So, like for example, on the outside, I mean, I know it doesn't look exactly like your stock Polo which comes from the factory. Obviously, there are giveaways that this is not your typical stock Polo which comes from the factory, but what's lying underneath over there is something you would not imagine by having a look at this car. All of this, whatever you see, most of it is done for a purpose. Like for example, the hood and the fenders, these are not like what you get in your stage 1, stage 2 cars that you see all across the country, because these are actual carbon fiber parts. Both the hood as well as both the fenders are carbon fiber. The front and the rear bumper are R-line. These are the Team Dynamic rims, which you're probably familiar with as of now. They are wrapped around Michelin PS4 tires, and behind that is a massive K-Sport big brake kit. Now this car, as I mentioned before, is a car which has been co-developed by Nictrans Motorsport. For those who don't know Nictrans, he's, as I said, one of the most prestigious WAG builders, especially when it comes to transmissions and engine swaps in the country currently. He makes some pretty insane builds. You must have seen his previous builds on my car. If you haven't, go check out the link which I'm mentioning in the comment of this video or the description of this video. So this car is co-developed by Nictrans and Team N1. This over here, by the way, is the owner of this car. This is his Instagram handle. Now, from the outside, you would not make out the actual firepower that's sitting over here underneath this hood, this carbon fiber bonnet. But at the same time, there are a few subtle hints that will give you a little bit of an idea that this is not your average Polo. Now, it says that it's just a Polo, but don't listen to this guy, because if you are a person who has a fine eye for details, then you will definitely come over here and notice this 4Motion badge, and what that means is trouble for whoever is going to race against this car, because this car has an Haldex 5 4-wheel drive, all-wheel drive system, which comes from a Audi A3. Then over here you can also see that it's got twin APR exhaust tips, and the reason for that is something which I'm going to show you soon. Let's quickly unlock the car and have a look on the inside. Now on the inside also, there have been mods done. They have been very subtle, very sporty, and yet, so the whole point of this car is, of course, to produce more power. But at the same time, it is something, this is kind of a build which has been made to produce more power, obviously, but at the same time something which is built so that it can be used as a daily driver. This is not a car which is overly stiff. This is not a car which is overly uncomfortable and something which can't be used on the daily. This is actually a pretty dailyable car, as you can see from these very comfortable looking VRS seats. Also, it's got the updated Maxi-Dot instrument cluster as well as the Golf Mark 8 steering along with the paddle shifters over here at the back. Then it's got some aftermarket lightings on the inside which kind of makes the cabin a little more ambient than the stock Polo as well. But overall, it looks like a pretty nice and comfortable place to sit and drive the car on a daily. Now, what I really want to show you though is under the hood. This super lightweight carbon fiber hood. Oh my god. Just look at this, is like, it's so light. Open this up and this is where the actual magic of this car is, because that is actually a 2-liter TSI engine from a Volkswagen Golf, and that is actually mated to a DQ250 Golf R gearbox. Now that combination in itself is the super rare and the super most important part of this entire build, and that is what comes from the specialized house of Nick Trans. Nikunj is the guy who's based in Surat. This part of the car was built particularly at his place, and that's where this engine and this gearbox was mated with this car along with the all-wheel drive system. You also have a full APR system, air filter along with the cold air intake, and with all of these things inside, this car is currently putting out 450 horsepower and about 580 Newton meters of torque, which is close to 600 Newton meters of torque. And the thing is that I was actually speaking to Gaurav, the owner of this car, earlier, and what he told me is that this car actually started like other Polos as a front wheel drive project. And with the front wheel drive project, they actually were able to put out roughly about 400 horsepower on the front wheels, and that is the time when this car was actually struggling to put that power down, because first gear, second gear, third gear and fourth gear, it used to generally just wheel spin all over the place. But now with the new all-wheel drive system, the 450 horsepower that it currently has is very, very easily manageable by all four wheels. And now because of that, what these guys are actually planning to do is increase the power, upgrade the power, of course by adding more parts, bigger turbos, lot of other things which will go along with it. The power can be upped to a technical 650 horsepower, and that is something that is lying in the future of this build. Now this is the kind of build that can actually give some serious cars some serious competition. Like for example, a car which Nick Trans built before this, which was putting out about 400 horsepower, was actually a car which nearly destroyed a 45 AMG Mercedes. That is the kind of build this is. Like your 5 Series, your M2s don't stand a chance along this car, because this year at Valley Run, this car put a timing of 11.5 seconds to a quarter mile. That is mental insane. Like that's actually supercar quick. I don't think even Porsches, like the 911 turbos, come close to that time when they are in stock. I got to check up on that fact. Don't hold my word for that fact, but I got to check. But regardless, 11.5 seconds to a quarter mile is mental fast. Okay. Now, the important part is we've done all the talking, we've seen all the hardware that is there on this car, but all of that makes no sense till the time you actually take this car out on the road and see how that feels, how that 450 horsepower feels. So, it's time to do that. Let's jump in the car and take it out for a drive. Definitely sounds nice and raspy. This car has now officially become the fastest Indian car in a drag race in the entire country in its class, which is an Indian car with an engine swap. And as I said before, 11.5 seconds. Now that already sounds pretty mad, but to show you that, we'll have to go to a slightly bit more open patch of road. But right now what I can tell you is that I'm driving this car on complete normal streets, on normal settings, in drive mode, and it actually feels quite dailyable. Of course, the suspension setup is not as soft as it would be on a stock Polo. Obviously, this is a case sport suspension setup, but the good part is, while it is stiffer, while it is slightly more harder, it's a fully adjustable system. Because it's a fully adjustable setup, you can run a completely different setup when you're going for a drag event like the Valley Run, or like Gaurav is planning to go for the BIC, to do a track day in this car, he can run a completely different setup. And over here for the city, the setup is a lot more softer, a lot more planned. And the best part about that is, right now, I went over probably about 20-25 speed humps, and not even a single speed hump over here in Mumbai we scraped at all anywhere. So this suspension setup, while a little stiff, it's completely planned with, especially with places like Mumbai where the roads are kind of unpredictable. Now, when you're driving this car, normally it feels pretty normal, I would say, but then you always know that slight bit of throttle and you are going to get 8 ton of horsepower. So this car sort of is kind of tempting me to press the throttle a little hard, because it's trying to tell me that there is so much more power that you can extract out of me. And it kind of tempts you, you know, because even on just a little bit, like a fraction of the throttle, the car just lunges ahead. And this is in absolutely normal drive mode where I'm not doing anything fancy or anything crazy with the car. It feels really sporty in here. These seats, by the way, are super nice. They are very comfortable and I think pretty perfect for a build like this, where they are comfortable, but at the same time they've got super nice bolstering where even if I'm on a track day, I can totally see that I'll be not moving out of my position and pretty much be stable while taking corners. And like even in normal driving, like even part throttle is more than enough. Oh, holy crap. That was the boost kicking in. We've already crossed all legal speed limits that this city allows us to do. And we were just about to hit the boost. We didn't actually hit the boost. That's crazy. So yeah, overtaking and just passing cars it's a piece of cake in this car. You don't need to put any efforts. You don't even need boost, to be honest with you. That 2-liter engine with whatever stock torque and whatever stock horsepower it has is enough for 80% of the cars that are there on Mumbai roads. And then of course for those 20%, we always have that massive GTX turbo sitting right underneath to spool and give you that insane boost, which I just experienced. We are going to go to a slightly more open road where I can actually experience it fully and explain it to you. Oh, and by the way, sitting here also, this cockpit feels super sexy. It feels super sporty because of the GTI market steering, and the Maxi Dot instrument cluster gives a really nice feel. I, for a minute, kind of forgot that I'm sitting in a Polo. I had to look a little bit around and like, okay, yeah, the dashboard is still Polo and the door cards and everything are still Polo, but the seats, the steering, your cockpit view, for a minute totally makes you forget that. Okay, this is my first pull. Okay, first pull in a 450 horsepower. What? Holy God! Screw the YouTube algorithm for not swearing in a video. This thing is mental. Holy I cannot tell you the speeds. I cannot tell you the speeds. I can just tell you that no, I cannot tell you the speeds. That was too fast. That was too insane. Let's do that again. It's freaking fast. It just pulls. Man, this can be so addictive. And you can feel, okay, you can feel the four-wheel drive system working where the power is going to the front. The front is kind of trying to hold the power in and it's transferring the power to the back. You can feel the four-wheel drive system working, trying to put all the power down, trying to manage all the power and just make sure that you bloody accelerate like a bullet in front. Holy mother of God. Like you see 2 digits and the minute you look back down, it's already 3 digits, somewhere in the middle, high 3 digits. That's how fast this thing is. What? That speedometer is getting over before you know it. Mad. The response time is incredible. So I think for me, the experience in this car, let me just put it back to drive so that the car is a little relaxed. Oh, let me all put it together for you guys. So the experience for me in this car was, of course, it's fast. It's way faster than you can ever imagine any Polo to be, of course. But it's the seamlessness of everything, how that gearbox responds to your throttle input. Like in sport mode, you put your foot down and this thing just blasts past, okay? The way the whole thing works together, the four-wheel drive system, how it's trying to manage all the power, you can feel that it's managing the power. You can feel that it's trying to shift the power to our four wheels, giving you maximum traction so you can just accelerate as fast as you can. It's trying to do that. It's how seamlessly that four-wheel drive system, the turbo spooling, the accelerator, how the response to the throttle is coming, how seamlessly everything is working, where all you need to do is put your foot down and just enjoy the damn thing, man. This thing is incredible fun. Oof! I loved it. And I cannot imagine that this thing is still not done. This is still at 450 horsepower, where these guys are actually planning to take it above 600. That is going to be proper mental. Of course, they're going to need a few more hardware upgrades, like for example, a built engine, then a built transmission. The turbo is most probably going to remain the same. Then a couple of other things, of course. But this thing with 600 horsepower, I cannot imagine. It's going to be mental fast. This thing is already an incredible experience. And people, like forget people. I was the person जो मैं पोलो को बहुत गाली डालता था. To be honest with you, 2 साल पहले ना, I was the kind of person पोलो को बहुत गाली डालता था. This is like the peak performance of what a Polo can be, and it can still be taken further. You drive this car, it will change your perspective, it will change your mind. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed driving this car. I will catch you in the next one. Till then, ciao.